on Shavuot, the custom is to read the book of Ruth. And one of the reasons that we read this book is that it is about an individual who, at great risk and great cost to herself, chooses to become part of the Jewish people. Shavuot is often a holiday in which we celebrate the Jews by choice in our community to lift up all the ways that we actively choose Judaism, whether we're born into this tradition or came to it later in life. And one of the joys that I have getting to teach many of our Jews by choice as they become part of the Jewish people is to hear their Torah, which is and profound and often startlingly revelatory, because they bring their own unique lens to this tradition in ways that are beautiful and surprising and new. And so it is my great pleasure to introduce Caroline Miller, who's going to be sharing some words of Torah, and not only as somebody who has embraced our people, but also embraced a position of leadership in our people, right? You might recognize her because she's right here, sitting in the davening team, and also has volunteered in so many other ways of helping build this Mishkan and making the Jewish people much better for it. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Woo! Wow, that was such a warm welcome. Shabbat Shalom. Like Rabbi Stephen said, I'm Caroline, and I converted to Judaism with Mishkan a few years ago. And every once in a while, when I tell people that I converted, non-Jews will look at me like I got tricked by an evangelizing rabbi who was going door to door, peddling the Torah. But Jews don't seek out new converts. We don't convert people. Converts to Judaism not only come to the religion completely on their own, but they take on quite the challenge when they decide to convert. It takes about a year of reading and learning and classes, and after that you have a Beit Din, which is Hebrew for house of judgment, totally not intimidating. And that is where a rabbinical court asks you questions and determines whether or not you should join the Jewish people. And if you pass, you get to go to the mikveh. And then, once you've done that, you're officially a Jew. Hooray! And it makes sense for the conversion process to Judaism to be long and intricate because Judaism is an intricate, multifaceted religion with an intricate, multifaceted culture. Our history as a Jewish people is complex and often tragic. Our present day as Jews is also complex and often tragic, as we have seen in the last 2 weeks alone. So it makes sense that Jews don't just let people in on a whim. But when someone has completed that process, they are not only welcomed into the Jewish religion, but celebrated as a full-fledged member of the Jewish people. When you convert to Judaism, you're not only Jewish, you are a Jew. Shavuot, the holiday we are celebrating today with copious amounts of dairy, is a way where we can celebrate our converts. We read the book of Ruth, like Rabbi Stephen said. She was the very first convert, and we discuss how the souls of converts were also present at Mount Sinai when God delivered the Torah to Moses in the desert. But why did God pick the desert? Because, as we all know, the Israelites notoriously hated the desert. They complained the entire time. So it's an odd choice for God to give Moses the Torah in such an unglamorous place, but when you think about it, God's choice does make sense. The desert is a wide and empty place, and that's the perfect backdrop to see the vastness of the Torah. Sometimes you have to be in an empty place before you can receive something that is truly immense. But while the Torah was fantastic, the desert was not fantastic. And we have all had our own personal deserts and places where we have felt empty and lost. I became lost about 6 years ago. I used to be a professional classical musician, and I played the bassoon, and not to brag, but I was good. I played with multiple professional orchestras. I played in music festivals from coast to coast. I was a finalist for the master's program at Juilliard. I got into the Manhattan School of Music on scholarship to study with the principal bassoonist of the Metropolitan Opera. I could not afford that, though, so I accepted a fellowship to study at a great school in Texas for my master's degree. Music was my entire life, and it had been since I was a child. I had no life outside of music because between the hours of lessons and practicing and reed making and auditioning, there was simply no room for a life. I sacrificed a great deal to pursue my dream, and it seemed to be paying off, but then I got sick. I got really sick. The summer between my first and the second year of my master's degree, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. The average life expectancy of someone with my illness is a decade shorter than the average person. 30% of us are unemployed because of our illness, and 20% of us will ultimately die as a result of it. This grim prognosis, combined with the hand tremors that was caused by the medicine I had to take to keep my illness in check, made performing extremely difficult. My professors were very sympathetic, but ultimately there was nothing that anyone could really do because the classical music industry is extremely competitive, and there's no time to be chronically ill. It is sink or swim, and I sank. The symptoms of my illness, combined with the tremors in my hands caused by my medication, led to countless humiliating performances and lessons and auditions, and my reality just crumbled. I lost my career, I lost my future, I lost my community, and I really lost a huge part of myself. I realized that while I desperately needed music, the classical music industry did not need me at all. I was completely replaceable. I was a dime a dozen. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of other bassoonists equally qualified as me, and 99% of them did not have a debilitating illness that made their hands shake because of the medication. So, my own biology sabotaged me, which enticed a level of self-hatred that I did not know was possible. And then, after 11 years of pursuing my dream, I quit. I quit because if I kept going, I knew that it would literally kill me. I did not play music anymore. I didn't even touch my bassoon for several years. I did not listen to music unless I had to. My life's goal and also my identity was gone. And this was how I started wandering through my own personal desert. So over the next 2 years, I started all over because I had to. I had no marketable skills. I sold sunglasses at the mall, and I was honestly ashamed and miserable, but slowly I started to pick up the pieces of myself. I began a relationship with my now fiancé. I went back to school for software development, and I got a job. But there was a vast void in my life where music used to be. I tried filling the void with a few different things, but none of them really stuck. And one day, my fiancé and I moved from Texas to Chicago, and Chicago felt bizarrely familiar, even though I'd only been here for 1 day before. It was like I had taken off a backpack full of bricks, and I was instantly so much happier, and I felt hopeful. And on a run in November of 2022, I had a really random thought, and the thought simply was, maybe I should convert to Judaism. And I was like, this is the weirdest intrusive thought I've ever had in my entire life. No one had talked to me about Judaism. The only Jewish thing that I had been recently aware of was an extremely anti-Semitic Twitter rampage by a certain rapper. And that definitely did not make being Jewish look like a whole lot of fun. So I did not know where this thought came from, but I went home, I went to Google, and I Googled, what do Jewish people believe? And myjewishlearning.com gave me, yes. I love myjewishlearning.com. This is not a sponsorship. But they gave me the basic beliefs of the Jews, and I thought, wait a second, this is what I've thought my entire life, and I thought I was just a bad Christian, but it turns out I might just be Jewish. So I emailed Rabbi Stephen about joining what was then called Exploring Judaism, and he generously let me join the class 3 weeks late, so I wouldn't have to wait another year. And classes started, and things just felt great. Rabbi Stevens' coursework was exciting and challenging, but it also felt familiar and nourishing at the same time. Everything I was learning about felt just right. And as the months went by, I felt the pieces of me sliding into place as part of a larger, beautiful puzzle. I developed friendships that I cherish to this day, and I learned from my parents that I actually have Jewish ancestors with a long history in Chicago, which was a complete surprise to me, but it explained a lot. No wonder I feel so at home in Chicago. No wonder that side of my family is racked with anxiety and paranoia problems. So as I learned more about Judaism and my family and myself, I started to feel like perhaps I had found my place. When the camp of the Israelites is described in this week's Parsha, it reads, quote, "And there Israel camped opposite the mountain. But unlike all of the other mentions of the Israelite camp in the Torah, where it is described as the plural, vayachanu, this particular instance uses the singular, vayachan. This singular word choice paints the Israelites being described as one unbreakable entity. All of our souls were accounted for at Sinai. Our fates as a Jewish people inextricably intertwined with one another through time. The Israelites physically present at Sinai started a series of chain reactions that led to you and I being Jews, or simply being in this space today. For those born Jewish, a miraculously unbroken genetic chain led you here. And for converts, our non-Jewish lineage brought us here just the same. My mom, who curates literally thousands of historical garments for local museums as a volunteer, she taught me tzedakah, righteousness and giving. The level-headed scientific mindset of my dad, who stays calm even in the most stressful of situations, taught me menuchat hanefesh, calm and composure. The unconditional warmth and generosity that my older brother shows to literally everyone he meets, sometimes even at his own expense because he's that nice, he taught me chesed, kindness. Maybe your family taught you similar things. Maybe it was your friends, or maybe you had to learn from people who only showed you what not to do. But each of us has our own chain reaction that brought us to here, now, in our Jewish journey, and each of us can be traced back to Sinai. My Beit Din was in mid-July of 2023, and I recited a number of affirmations, including, I hereby affirm of my own free will my commitment to Judaism and the people Israel. As Ruth said to Naomi, your people will be my people, and your God, my God. My mikvah was August 25th, 2023, and I was officially a Jew. Hooray! But I didn't really think I would be important or valuable to the Jewish community because I was like, I'm just happy to be here. This is fun, cool. But Judaism is not a spectator sport. Rabbi Lizzie told me at my Beit Din that Judaism was like a muscle and that without exercise, it would start to atrophy. And of course, she's right. Because what do we learn from Ruth, the first convert? We learn that converts are not only full members of the Jewish community, but that we must contribute to the community. Ruth showed unwavering loyalty by caring for her mother-in-law, moving to a new land, and taking on a new people. And so Ruth is a big deal. And if you are a convert, almost convert, or born Jew, you are also a really big deal because we are called to share our strengths with the world as Jews. We need to just look within ourselves, see our strengths, and then look around you. There's always a place where you can apply them. So find that space. Work your Jewish muscles and follow Rabbi Lizzie's advice. For me, I built my Jewish workout over time. I joined the Torah study small group. I became a mentor for Blueprint students. And I also performed and wrote skits with the Purim Spiel team. But my biggest and favorite Jewish workout of all is being on the davening team. I was pretty scared to audition for the davening team, given everything that I'd gone through with music, but I had a gut feeling that was just telling me that I should try it. And I was accepted onto the team, which genuinely surprised me because I had not had a successful audition for anything since 2018. So, new leaf for me. So my first rehearsal with the team reminded me why I fell in love with music in the first place, because the davening team is joyful and fun and creative. And being a part of it gave me the second chance with music that I so desperately needed. And then, before I knew it, I was playing the flute solo at Kol Nidre last year, facing my demons head on in front of over 1,000 people. Aw. Thank you, whoever said that. That's very nice of you. And as I stepped up to the microphone holding my flute from 8th grade, I had a feeling of calm wash over me, and that had never happened to me before a performance before. And I began to play, and there was no tremor, and miraculously, there I was. I was playing music for people. It was happening. And I realized, standing there in front of our community, that two things can be true at the same time. We can have things about ourselves that we would give anything to change or erase, and we can still do incredible things. As Jews, we accomplish things not in spite of the burdens that we carry, but because of the lessons that we learn from them. And I knew then that my painful loss years before was not pointless suffering, but it was just a necessary step towards something better. Getting diagnosed with my illness 6 years ago was undoubtedly the worst thing that has ever happened to me, which is why I rarely disclose or discuss my illness, even with my own family. But this beautiful life I get to live now, and that I get to be here with you guys, like, it's so worth it. And in the words of Rabbi Shefik Gold, the harsh inner reality of the wilderness purified whatever traces of enslavement that we still carry. This wilderness is the midwife of our new life after long and hard labor. The wilderness forces us to face the resistance and the ambivalence and the self-delusion that has kept us from receiving our birthright, the promised flow of milk and honey that is given to us and through us with each moment of life. In the wilderness, we are stripped of disguises. Each part within us is forced to show its true face. Judaism and this community at Mishkan has changed my life, but I have not changed. Instead, I've been taught the radical notion that I'm good the way I am. And the void that I felt in myself after I left the music profession was not a void at all, but it was a delusion that I needed external validation to justify existing. Judaism did not fill a void. It showed me that we do not have voids. We are all born complete. And from that base of acceptance, I've been able to grow in ways that I truly did not think were possible for me. So my hope for all of the converts, the almost converts, and the born Jews here today is that we can see your strengths demonstrated in our community. And I want you to say yes to opportunities, even if they might be outside your comfort zone, because at the end of the day, the Jewish community needs you. You specifically, like I'm gesturing to everyone, but I mean everyone individually. We need you. We need your experiences, your thoughts, and your hopes. Your divine existence makes you inherently impossible to replace. We are each a universe, so show us what your universe is like. Because there's no telling how far that we will grow together, many beautiful and different humans as one Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.